Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine you click buy,
Right.
and just moments later, somewhere deep inside this massive building, a robot, it just wheels off to grab your item.
Yeah, and then maybe another one picks it off a shelf.
And another sorts it into a package. It sounds, almost sci-fi.
It really does. But for Amazon, this is just daily business, right? Scaled up incredibly.
Exactly. So this deep dive, it's all about that quiet revolution happening inside Amazon's fulfillment centers. We're talking about their huge deployment of robots. We've been digging into a pretty detailed report on this, really trying to get at the economic side, the impact, and where it's all headed.
And our mission here really is to get past the headlines. We want to look at what these robots actually are.
So,
What did the numbers in the report really tell us about costs, speed, that kind of thing?
right.
And crucially, what does all this automation mean? For logistics, sure, but also for the people working there. We're sticking close to the source material for this.
And that scale you mentioned, the source throws out a number that just, grounds everything. Over 750,000 robots.
Globally.
Globally. That's a 2024 estimate. Just, think about that number for a sec.
Massive. And it makes you wonder, right? Is this just about getting packages out a bit faster?
Or is it something bigger?
Exactly. Is it a fundamental shift in how goods move, how work gets done? The report definitely suggests it's the latter. It's a big deal.
So who are these robots? Like, who's on the team? The report introduces a few key players.
Well, the ones you hear about most, maybe the most fundamental ones, are called Hercules.
Hercules, okay.
Think of them as the movers, the mobile workhorses.
Mhm.
They're these compact, agile little drive units.
And they move the whole shelf.
Yeah, exactly. They slide under these shelving units, the pods, lift them up, and just ferry them around to people or maybe to other robots.
And they're pretty strong, right? The source mentioned,
Up to 12,250 pounds, yeah.
wow. Okay. So these are really the backbone moving all that inventory around the floor.
Definitely. Then building on that, you've got Robin.
Robin.
Sounds friendly.
Hey, maybe. This is where the AI really comes in. It's a robotic arm,
Okay.
but it's powered by some pretty advanced AI vision and machine learning. Its job is more delicate.
Like picking individual things.
Exactly. Identifying items, figuring out how to grab them carefully, sorting them into orders, using its eyes.
Oh, the speed. The report said something pretty impressive.
Yeah, under ideal conditions, it can handle like 900 items an hour,
900 an hour.
which is fast. And they're apparently scaling these up quickly in the sorting and packing areas.
So it's not just about moving shelves, it's also the fine detail work.
Right. And the source also mentions what's coming next, which shows they're not stopping.
Oh, like what?
Well, there's Proteus. This one's highlighted as their first fully autonomous mobile robot,
Meaning?
meaning it can just navigate freely out on the main floor, moving safely alongside human workers, not confined to specific zones as much.
Okay, that's a big step. And then there's Cardinal, another arm, but this one's built for the big stuff.
Heavier packages.
Exactly. Again, using AI to plan how to lift and move these awkward, heavy items. It shows this constant evolution, right? They're always pushing it.
Okay, so we've kind of met the robot team. Hercules, Robin, Proteus, Cardinal.
Some of the key ones, yeah.
But how does this all add up? What's the tangible impact?
Yeah.
This is where those numbers you mentioned, they get really compelling in the source material.
They really do.
We said 750,000 plus robots right now.
Right, current estimate. But the report includes projections from Bank of America. They're forecasting over 1.5 million robots by 2032.
Double, more than double in less than a decade.
Yeah. That kind of growth rate, it signals a massive strategic push. They're all in.
And the why seems pretty clear when you look at the costs. The report connects it straight to the bottom line, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Fulfillment cost per item. It's already down 25 to 40% where these systems are heavily used.
25 to 40% on a core cost like fulfillment.
That's huge. That's not just tweaking things. It's reshaping the basic economics of selling online.
And it doesn't stop there.
Nope. The forecast in the report suggests another 20% drop in that cost per item by 2032.
Wow. That's a powerful driver.
It really is. And it ties directly into labor efficiency, too.
How so?
The source points to gains of 35 to 50% in item picking efficiency.
Meaning how much faster items get picked for an order.
Exactly, with the robots helping out.
Yeah.
And they think that efficiency gain could go past 60% once the systems are fully rolled out everywhere.
So you put the cost savings and the efficiency gains together.
And the report estimates the annual savings are already around $5 billion.
$5 billion.
annually currently, and projected to hit something like $16 billion a year by 2032.
$16 billion.
When you see figures like that, you understand why they're investing so much, so fast. It's a massive economic engine fueling this whole thing.
It absolutely makes sense from that perspective. And like you said earlier with Robin and Cardinal, it's not just brute force, it's the smarts behind it.
Right.
The FI, the machine learning, what the report calls cognitive automation.
That's a key part. The source breaks down how AI isn't just, a fancy term here. It's doing real work.
Like the computer vision you mentioned.
Exactly. Robots like Robin, like Cardinal, they use it constantly to see an item, identify what it is, figure out the best way to pick it up, even do quick quality checks.
So essentially teaching machines to see and understand all the random stuff in a warehouse, which sounds incredibly complex.
It is. And another big AI application the report mentions is path optimization.
For all those Hercules robots moving around.
Yeah, imagine hundreds, thousands of robots moving at once. AI is constantly calculating the best routes for every single one in real time to avoid traffic jams.
Like this super complex air traffic control, but on the ground for robots.
That's a good way to think about it. That continuous optimization is a huge factor in achieving those efficiency numbers we talked about.
Makes sense.
And they're also using simulation, apparently, building digital twins, virtual copies of their warehouses.
Test things out.
Right. Test new layouts, new robot strategies, all in the computer before they change anything physically. That level of AI planning is pretty sophisticated. It's how you scale this stuff effectively.
Okay, this inevitably brings up the big question, right? All these robots, all this AI. What about the people? What does it mean for the human workers? The report goes there.
It does, and it presents sort of two sides of the coin based on the information gathered.
Okay, what's the first side?
The argument for synergy, the idea that robots take over the really tough, repetitive stuff.
The heavy lifting, walking miles a day.
Exactly. Those physically taxing tasks. And the argument is this frees up human workers to focus on things that need, human skills.
Like what?
Quality control, overseeing the robots, handling tricky exceptions robots can't manage, tasks needing judgment or fine motor skills. The picture they paint is collaboration.
Making the jobs less physically demanding, more focused on oversight or complex tasks.
That's the intended positive framing presented. However, the source is clear to also include the concerns.
From labor groups.
Yes. It specifically mentions that labor unions have raised flags, concerns about potential job displacement as automation gets more advanced.
That makes sense, if robots do more.
Right. And also questions about safety injury risks when you're working closely with fast-moving automated systems.
So displacement and safety, valid concerns. How does Amazon respond, according to the report?
Their stated position, as reported, is that the robots actually reduce the kind of work that leads to injuries, less heavy lifting, less walking.
Okay.
And they state their goal is zero net job loss. The idea being they'll retrain people for the new kinds of jobs created by automation maintenance, tech support, supervision.
So the report presents both viewpoints, the potential benefits and the labor concerns.
Exactly. It lays out the synergy argument and the counter-arguments regarding displacement and safety, citing Amazon's position on retraining. It maintains that neutrality.
Got it. Now, zooming out a bit from the warehouse floor, the report touches on the bigger strategy, global reach.
Yeah, it notes Amazon Robotics HQ is in Massachusetts, but the R&D isn't just there. They have centers in India, Germany, Japan, other U.S. locations too.
So this is very much a global development effort.
Clearly. And there's an interesting strategic point the source brings up. Amazon Robotics might, down the line, license or sell these robotic solutions to other companies.
Sell their tech to competitors or third-party logistics firms.
Potentially. That would position them not just as a user of robotics, but as a technology provider in the logistics space.
That's a whole other layer to this, a potential new business line.
It's a significant strategic possibility mentioned in the analysis.
Okay, so looking ahead, what's the ultimate goal here, does the report say?
It's pretty explicit, actually. It quotes Amazon's stated vision to build a fully autonomous fulfillment center by the early 2030s.
Fully autonomous.
Yeah. A warehouse that could theoretically operate with minimal direct human intervention on the floor itself.
That's quite a vision for just a decade or so away.
It is. But, as the report also points out, getting there isn't exactly straightforward. There are challenges.
Like what? What are the main hurdles mentioned?
Well, navigating those labor relations we talked about, plus any potential regulatory stuff as automation deepens, that's a big one.
The human element again.
Right. And just the sheer technical complexity, making sure all the software and hardware works together perfectly across eventually well over 1 million robots, that's a massive ongoing challenge.
Integrating it all at that scale.
Definitely. And they're not alone in this space. The report specifically notes the competition.
Other big players.
Yeah, other giants are pouring money into warehouse automation too. The source mentions Walmart, Alibaba, Shopify. They're all in this race.
A race to automate the supply chain.
Pretty much. So, okay, let's try to synthesize this. If we pull back, look at all the points from the source. What's the bottom line?
It feels much bigger than just getting your package a day sooner.
Absolutely. This level of robotics, this deep integration of AI, it's fundamentally changing the math, the economics of e-commerce logistics.
It's like they're writing the blueprint for how supply chains might work in the future, setting a new standard for automation.
Exactly. And it's actively changing the nature of work inside those facilities, shifting away from purely manual labor towards more technical roles.
Supervision, maintenance, troubleshooting the robots.
Right. Roles requiring different skills.
The scale is just hard to wrap your head around. And the speed. It's impacting everything from warehouse layouts to the global flow of goods.
It really is. And, it leaves you with this interesting tension to think about.
How so?
Well, the source includes that quote from Amazon's VP of robotics. Something like, "Our goal is not to replace people, it's to make them superheroes in the warehouse."
Okay, making workers superheroes.
But then you place that right next to the other stated goal we just talked about.
The fully autonomous fulfillment center by the early 2030s.
Exactly. So you have this idea of empowering humans, making them superheroes, alongside the goal of full autonomy, which implies minimal human presence on the floor.
Huh. That is a tension.
What does that really mean for the future roles for people in these places? How do those two visions reconcile in practice?
Yeah. What does superhero look like in a potentially fully autonomous future?
It's definitely something to chew on, a key question looking forward.